Whitney Houston wasn't just a singer, she was the voice of a generation. By the early 1990s, she was one of the biggest artists on earth. Blockbuster films, record-breaking sales, and a level of fame most people only ever dream about. But behind the perfect image, a darker story was unfolding. Addiction, a voice slowly breaking down, concerts ending in booze, and a tragic death in a hotel bathroom. This is Whitney Houston's rise to unimaginable fame and her devastating fall from grace. Welcome to Hollywood Riches to Rags, the channel that tells the true stories behind fame, fortune, and the financial decisions that changed everything. If you're fascinated by how big stars rise and fall, this video is for you. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss another video. Whitney Elizabeth Houston was born on August 9, 1963 in Newark, New Jersey, into music royalty. Her mother, Cissy Houston, was a gospel singer. Her cousin was Dionne Warwick, and family friend, Aretha Franklin. Whitney began singing gospel in church as a child, and her voice stood out instantly, powerful, controlled, and emotionally precise. In 1985, she released her debut album, Whitney Houston. It became the best-selling debut album by a female artist at the time, launching multiple major hits and turning her into an international star. Then came her historic run of 7 consecutive #1 singles in the US, a record that still stands. Whitney wasn't just successful, she was untouchable. By the early 1990s, Whitney Houston was a brand, a headline, and a global event. In 1992, she starred in The Bodyguard, a film that became a worldwide blockbuster. But it was the soundtrack that turned into a cultural earthquake, dominating radio, charts, and dance floors across continents. The Bodyguard soundtrack is widely cited as the best-selling soundtrack album of all time, with around 45 million copies sold worldwide, meaning Whitney wasn't just big in America, she was massive almost everywhere at once. In 1992, Whitney married R&B singer Bobby Brown. The relationship was volatile, chaotic, and relentlessly covered by the press. Over time, multiple accounts described a life increasingly shaped by heavy drug use, including cocaine. Whitney denied many rumors for years, but the pressure of fame, personal turmoil, and addiction began to show in public. The image that once felt flawless started cracking. Whitney's voice was her superpower, but vocal health is fragile. As the years went on, live performances became less consistent. Missed notes, shortened phrases, breath control issues, and an audible roughness where there once was effortless clarity. By the time she attempted a major comeback in the late 2000s, many shows were criticized as unstable, and some audiences reportedly walked out mid-performance. For an investigator whose reputation was built on vocal excellence, the public decline was brutal to watch. Despite earning extraordinary sums across decades, reports suggested Whitney faced serious financial strain later in life. Big careers can still collapse under bad deals, high overheads, and personal chaos. And in Whitney's case, the combination of intense media scrutiny and personal struggle created a spiral that became increasingly difficult to escape. On February 11, 2012, Whitney Houston was found unresponsive in the bathtub of her room at the Beverly Hilton Hotel. She was 48 years old. Authorities ruled her death an accidental drowning, with underlying heart disease and cocaine use listed as contributing factors. The timing shocked the world. It happened on the eve of the Grammy Awards, only a short distance from where the music industry would gather. Whitney Houston remains one of the greatest vocalists ever recorded. Her highs were historic, and her influence is permanent. But her story is also a reminder of what fame can hide, and what addiction can destroy. From Hollywood riches to tragic rags. If you enjoyed this deep dive into pop culture history and the realities of fame, fortune, and legacy, subscribe to Hollywood Riches to Rags for more stories about the rise, the struggle, and the cost of staying on top.